broadcasting live, and I believe it is now streaming live on YouTube. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. Let me begin with thanking Aaron. As you all know, we are down a person in my office, and she's doing double, triple duty, given that the meeting request and the Zoom request and the number of emails that we all are receiving are going through the roof. And so I can't thank Aaron enough. I don't know where I would be. Well, I know where I wouldn't be, and that's where I'm supposed to be if it was not for her. And so let me start by thanking Aaron and thanking all of you for joining us at our first College Council meeting of the year. Bear with me real quick. I'm going to get up the agenda. And for all of our great classified professionals, our faculty, supervisors, managers, students, we are literally in this together. We're learning how to do this as you speak. And so you'll see we go through many of the same things that you all do. And what I would like to do is share the College Council agenda and begin the meeting after we've thanked everyone with an overview of College Council. It is the highest level of governance at our college. It is comprised of representatives from our academic senate, from our classified senate, from our supervisory group, from our managers group, and from our students. And you as participants of College Council, those of you who are coming to us via YouTube, have an opportunity to place anything on the agenda by communicating to your representatives. And I should be showing, if my Zoom is working, our list of representatives. And I'm going to use this list to do a roll call of who is present and welcome our new members to College Council. And my name is Ricky Shabazz, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the president of our great college, San Diego City College. Also with us is the president of the Academic Senate, Paul Alexander. And when I call your name, it's kind of a roll call. So if you'll unmute yourself and acknowledge yourself. And I do see Paul there. Thanks, Paul.
Hey, I'm here.
Tilly Chavez, Vice President of Instruction.
Here.
Aaron Deddy, welcome, Aaron, our newest member of the College Council, representing administration. Dean Robbie Ewell, Chair of Institutional Technology.
I'm here.
Caesar, a Public Information Officer.
Present.
Dr. Jocelyn Hill, Supervisory Representative. She may be joining us later. Nadia, the Chair of Chairs, also known as the President of the Chairs Cabinet.
Here.
Our newly elected last spring ASG President, Destiny Munoz Calejos. Dr. Susan Murray, Dean of Institutional Effectiveness.
Present.
And bear with me because I left my glasses at work, so I better bump up the font there so I can actually read what's there. I believe Masa let us know he wasn't going to be here, possibly. Dr.
That's correct.
Masa.
He has another meeting at this time.
Great, not a problem. Dr. John Parker, the newest member of the City College family, Vice President of Administrative Services.
Present.
Awana Payne, President of the Classified Senate.
Good afternoon.
Sean Ryan, who's going to be filling in for Awana, as Awana Classified don't get sabbaticals, but I believe it's as close to a sabbatical as I've ever seen. Awana is going to be working on a project this fall with the state, I believe, Classified Senate. So congratulations, Awana, and welcome Sean to.
Hi, everyone. I'm here.
Welcome. Vice President of Students, Denise Wisenhunt.
You're muted, Denise.
Well, we know she's there because someone saw her. Well, welcome again to College Council.
Thank you, Luana. Thank you.
Welcome to College Council. This is the highest level of student government, excuse me, not student government. I was thinking about our student ASG president, Denise, and wondering, making sure she got here and that we have students represented in this meeting, because certainly students are the reason that we're here. And we want to make sure that there are students in this meeting. This is the highest level of governance at the college. We discuss things, we have presentations. And so anyone watching via YouTube, if you would like to have an agenda item, merely reach out to one of your representatives that are listed here, and we would be happy to add an agenda item to this meeting. Enrollment update, and I'm going to invite Vice President Tilly Chavez and Denise Wisenhunt and Caesar to join me in this update, but things are looking fairly well. We are trending, last I believe was about 88% of our target, which is the highest in the district, as Paul pointed out in our last meeting together. Happy to report we have more students this fall than we did last fall. We continue to have a very aggressive 8-week session. For any students who are watching out there and want to get into class, want to commend our great faculty. Many of them have been taking students over to CAP. Many of them have been referring students to other classes. Tilly, any thoughts on enrollment you'd like to share, then followed by Denise?
I just want to say thank you to everyone. As I always point out, it's everyone's job and we're all in it together. We are hitting a 13.2 productivity. Thank you, everyone, because we have schools that are hitting a high fill rate and other schools that are hitting the high productivity rate. That really kind of helps balance all that out. So we need each other and we work well together. So thank you to everyone on that.
Great. Denise, any thoughts from the student services perspective?
Yeah, we've been just really busy serving our students. Just last week alone, the financial aid office did over 500 over 326 Zooms. They're doing special Zoom. Shout out to the counseling department for the work that they're doing as well. This is just a very busy time. We just had ad drop deadline on Friday, so we're continuing to do just great service. There's just some really good things happening. We're trying to feed our students this morning. So just really, 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 really extraordinarily proud of our student services team.
As Chair, Nadia's here.
Excuse me, Tilly?
I'm sorry, I said that Nadia is our tri-chair for enrollment management as well. I just want to acknowledge.
Yeah, Nadia, any thoughts?
No, just trying to adjust to the meetings, but I do think that, I don't know, the chairs, we've been just trying really hard to be flexible and try to adapt the schedule based on student need and, school need, I guess, as well, so.
Yeah, Nadia, the faculty, classified professionals, everyone has been so accommodating, so flexible. Let me just thank every single person who is going above and beyond in less than ideal situations to help our great students. Also, those who were on campus today with the Hunger Action Days, Dean Marciano Perez and the team of folks who showed up today to help pass out food to our students. That's enrollment as well. I mean, you can't do good in school if you're hungry. It's going to be a challenge to do good in school if you don't know where you're going to sleep or where your next meal is going to come from. And so kudos to Denise and her team, Marciano Perez, and everyone involved with the Hunger Action Days. I see Denise unmuted. You want to chime in about that, Denise?
Oh, no. Really just thanks for everybody providing volunteer support, just connecting with students all this morning was outstanding. There are going to be Hunger Action opportunities every month, once a month on our campus where people can drive and get up food. So, and we're going to hand out food. So really just encourage students to sign up and remind them to show up. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so we shared with everyone the latest enrollment update. Please share that with your respective faculty members. And I want to echo Tilly's sentiment. Dean Rose and her entire school is doing amazing work. I believe that their productivity is leading the way at about 19, followed by another one of our great deans, Lori Urica, is coming right behind her. I think about 17 or something in that area with productivity. So we absolutely see you all. You're doing great work. We do have some work to do with productivity, but we are doing our best, our very best, in fact, in the light of a major pandemic. So thank you to everyone involved with that. Any questions about enrollment from the members of College Council? Any thoughts about enrollment? Things that you all are seeing that's worthy of a discussion or to share with those who are coming to us from YouTube?
Well, the only thing that I will add, and you've already touched on this, is just, I think it's a testimony to our staff, our administration, our classified professionals, and everybody who's working together, that in these crazy times we were able to do as well as we were able to do, and the struggle continues. We want to make sure that we get these students on our virtual campus and keep them on our campus. I mean, I know everybody who I know, anytime they bump into a student on the street is almost immediately asking them, well, did you enroll? What are the challenges, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's what really makes City College a true community college. And so hopefully we'll be able to keep that up and keep all of the other struggles that our students, all the obstacles that our students are facing, that other campuses, don't have the same, many of the same challenges that our students face. And so hopefully we'll be continue to go out of our way to give them the best education possible.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Very, very well said. And, when we have these meetings and we are calling out the counselors, or we're calling out departments, or we're calling out divisions, that's not to say that we don't see everyone, right? So let me go on the record, because I'm liable to get an email. Let me go on record as saying I am appreciative of everyone. Let me also say a special thank you to the financial aid office. They've been hosting some virtual meetings with our students. They responded to some concerns. They've actually been coming on campus to help practicing social distancing. We also see admission and records with Megan Soto and her entire team. There are enough thank yous to go around, but when you see the volume of emails dealing with prerequisites and financial aid, and then you see an office respond, possibly doing something they've never even done before. I think, a month, 2 months ago, I don't know that financial aid would have said that they did these drop-in Zoom sessions. But they responded immediately. We have a new acting supervisor over there who we're going to introduce to the campus a little later via the PowerPoint. But there are enough thank yous to go around, because everyone is doing a wonderful job. And we're learning this, folks. We didn't prepare for this in terms of schooling or manuals. We're literally learning as we go, trying to our very best to respond to students and their concerns. Any other thoughts? Hearing none, I will move to the next agenda item, which is the PowerPoint. And I'm going to invite our vice presidents to join in on the presentation. And I'm going to invite the members of College Council to stop us if you have questions, because we really want to be able to ensure that everyone is aware of what's going on campus and what our plans are. And so, our plans, very simply, to really recap what Paul said, is to support the student journey during a pandemic. And Caesar, thank you for sharing the slides. Again, we've already done the thank you. The City Pride is live and well, and every one of you is an essential employee to the success of our students. The Transfer Center, under the leadership of Dr. Bull and working with our honors program, is doing a tremendous job of getting students into colleges and universities. So I want to thank them for the work they did and are doing and will do. And you see the increase in the number of certificates and degrees. And again, if you all have questions, stop me. But we're looking at a 6% increase during a pandemic, folks. We increased 6% during a pandemic. Kudos to the library staff under the leadership of Dr. Maybe I'm speaking that into existence. Dean Robbie Ewell. That means you got to go back to school, soon to be Dr. Ewell. But thank you to Robbie Ewell and his team for helping, the librarians, everyone who had any involvement, student affairs, all the faculty, classified professionals who volunteered to help us give out these laptops. There are still a select number of laptops available. If you have a student who needs one, please get with your vice president and Robbie Ewell. We'd like to be able to get a computer in the hand of a student. We gave out a number of grants and wrote a number of grants. This kind of gives an idea of the kind of grants that the faculty, classified professionals, managers, deans have written over the course of the year. Funding the students, so happy, so proud of our college and our employees. We gave out to students nearly $2.5 million with $30K specifically set aside to Dreamers, and some of these other funding sources being able to go to Dreamers. Once we sued the federal government, we were part of the college system that sued the federal government, said we wanted to give resources to all students. And so this is something we should be proud of. Institutional cares, we presented yesterday on the Academic Senate. The vice presidents have been instructed, the deans have been instructed, get these resources in the hands of our employees, our faculty, our classified professionals, our managers. Now, let me be clear though, that these funds are for COVID-related matters. Your dean, your manager already has a budget for paper or ink or pencils. This is if you have a college-issued computer, college-issued laptop. If you don't have a college-issued computer or laptop, that we get those items in your hands. Now, if you have one, you should go through the normal process. If it's not working, Robbie Ewell and his team, the district IT team will help you with that. But these resources are intended to help us get through this pandemic. You see the areas that we're supporting. We sent this out to the campus, 1.65 million. Let me also say, how did this come about? Well, Denise led a committee comprised of our normal process of assigning faculty, classified professionals, managers. And these items came from you all. These are the areas that rose to being most impacted as a result of COVID, folks. This is not my pet list. I didn't pick these things. These are the things that came by way of either the committee or college council or going to meetings to say, here are where some of the concerns and needs are. These funds are here. I'm asking again for the vice presidents, spend the money, get the things in the hands of our faculty, our classified professionals, managers, supervisors that need these resources. If you have questions, stop me. We're expecting a third round of CARES funds called a block grant, not to be confused with a second federal stimulus. This is the state stimulus coming to community colleges, and I'm expecting to see about $540,000 come to City College. And what we did is just went back to the original process in the areas that didn't receive funding. Athletic counseling, $50,000. Our athletes had their season modified, and so they require additional counseling, specialized counseling in the NCAA rules and the fact that their sports have been moved to the spring. And so we need additional counseling for our student athletes. The health center and the other allocation, we put quite a bit of money of CARES funds into mental health. Now we need to support DOTI and flu shots and other things that our students may need as a result of the health center side. So this 50K is for the health center side. And I expect to put some additional resources into the health center when the second stimulus comes. The Vice President of Administration, you saw in our campus meetings, they had the biggest loss in the number of employees who retired or who are not being replaced. So that's $30,000 to help process our requisitions and handle the business side of the college. Disabled students, I can't say enough for the work that Bree is doing and for the work that we need to do to support our abled students who have different learning styles. So right now we're setting aside $30,000. Let me say that that's not enough. The DSPS mental health, the health center actually have a budget that is declining because our enrollment is declining. Now, even though the number is up over last year, if you look at a 5-year trend, the way they get funded is student fees. So students are paying less fees, and we are supplementing with CARES funds. And let me just say, Bree, if you're listening, and others in the DSPS office, my goal is to get $100,000 to DSPS in the second stimulus, working with Denise, because I've heard her really update me on the needs of DSPS and mental health in the health center. OER, the great work going on in the library and other places across campus, $30,000 into OER. Student workers, our students need jobs, but we also want to follow up with folks there via telephone. Tutoring, $100,000. That goes without saying that our students need access to tutoring. I expect to put another $100,000 into tutoring when the second stimulus comes as well. And then we're meeting with the vice presidents to talk about other needs. So if you have needs, please get that information into your vice presidents, your managers, because we do have about 200,000 of this 540 that has not been allocated. Any questions? Let's go back to there, Caesar, if we could. Any questions from College Council about this 540,000?
Good afternoon, this is Jocelyn. How's everyone? I have a question. So you said it's about maybe 200,000 that has not been allocated yet. How would someone go about requesting those other needs?
Well, great question, Dr. Hill. I hope I answered that. You would go through your vice president. So in your case, as a supervisor, you have a dean that you report to. You'd communicate that to your dean. Your dean would communicate that to the vice president, which is essentially how all of these funds were allocated.
Okay, so are we looking at other needs based on the work that we do to support students, or say other equipment needs, technology?
I mean, at this point, Jocelyn, we're looking at everything. So you can see some of the things we funded between what's listed here and the other pages. What the general conversation is it COVID related?
Okay.
Right, so needing a pencil or a pen, that's not COVID related.
Right.
Needing more mental health, needing access to technology because you're teaching remotely or you're providing remote student services, that is certainly COVID related. So what I would say is, one, there's a form that we're going to go over later in the presentation about how to request technology related COVID funds. If you're talking about a larger request, run it, one, put it in writing. Is it in program review? Run it through your dean, and they'll.
Yes, yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions about how this funding is being used? Great questions. I love questions. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Caesar. Here's our head count and our FTF targets versus actuals and productivity. You've heard from Vice President Chavez about the work we're doing in that area. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This shows the progression. So just weeks ago, we were at 12,000 students. Now we're over 15,000 students. When the CCAP students, our high school students, get put in, I think we're going to actually be over 16,000 students, folks. So great job to the campus. Shout out to Genevieve and the entire outreach team. Genevieve and Luke are worth their weight in gold. They are doing amazing work to get our college in front of students and working with you all to get information about programs in the hands of our students. This just talks about the productivity and how we're funded. Again, head count down, productivity down, head count, part-time students up, productivity down. And we know that over the last several years, I would say the last 5 to 10, City College has seen an increase in the number of part-time students. It's expensive to live in San Diego. People need to work multiple jobs in order to live here. And I invite the vice presidents to jump in. You got to be quick though.
If I can say, just if I can go back, just with the CARES money, that I know it's important to talk about the institutional support, but we as a campus, out of a $1.65 million contribution on the other side of CARES money, has put $900,000 in the hands of students and student aid. And we have about $800,000 remaining that we're intending to provide to students this academic year. So $900,000 has gone in the way of, direct aid to our students.
Yeah, and thank you, Denise, for your efforts. She's led the efforts with the CARES committee. And again, that is going through financial aid, and kudos to financial aid. You saw that we actually put overtime in the CARES budget for financial aid because someone had to administer those funds to get in the hands of students. So thank you, Denise, for that point. On October 8th, we will be having our annual City College Board meeting virtual, which is our opportunity to shine a light on the great work that we're doing. And so we typically pick 4 or 5 areas. We work with the vice presidents and the deans. And what we've come up with is this list that we're going to be presenting on. Dr. Parker and Roxanne are going to be talking about City College's employees are essential. You saw many of us had those shirts on. It started out as an effort to support offices like accounting and facilities and others who folks are on campus every single day. And so we want to highlight the great work our employees are doing in the face of this pandemic. If I could give an award to everyone, it would be that you are in fact essential. Had great work in professional development over the summer and the summer academies. Tilly, anything you want to say about that?
They did a fantastic job, and hopefully to continue on here. So if people miss certain aspects of it, they'll be able to see it throughout this next year.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job. Great, a lot of kudos to that whole team. Yeah. I know I can give a shout out to Paula Miranda, but she'll say it was a whole group of people, and there was. We had
and there was, right? Maria Jose, Doc, Bull. I mean, the list goes on.
Careful not to say too many because I'll get in trouble.
Never get in trouble. Do you want to talk about number 3 also, the plan for that, Tilly?
Yes, so Nadia can help on that too. She's our star, part of our love video.
I saw Paul on there too.
That's right, Paul on there. So you can talk about the video in a second, but basically it's a love video they put out there. They're famous. They've been on the news in the morning, and we really are looking forward to utilizing that too to put a star on them, a big starlight on them for the board meeting in October. So Nadia, you want to tell just a glimpse about what the Humanities Love video is?
Yeah, thanks for highlighting it. It's really kind of the brainchild of Kevin Gossett and Christy Ball in our department, and they just really wanted to try and create a platform or some kind of a space for students to know that we're here and we care. And, we're going to try to have a little fun through all of this as well. So that's why it kind of feels the way that it does. And just to acknowledge that we're all kind of a little vulnerable right now, and we're all, trying to do the best we can, and it's not always perfect. So just kind of acknowledging what students might be feeling, what we're feeling, and that we need each other now probably more than ever.
Nadia, that was perfect. As a matter of fact, that really also sums up the Summer Academy and really what instruction I think should bring forward to the Board of Trustees at that presentation.
Great, and I'm going to turn over to Denise for the next 2 items.
And so the other 2 areas that we're going to be highlighting is a program that's been on our campus for about 4 years, that is City Women Rock. Really is a group of women who are endeavored, particularly classified staff and administrative professional staff, faculty who have come together. And that's a mighty team, that picture that you're looking at right there, that meet regularly to support student achievement for women. It's female focused, it's women focused, people who identify. It is an amazing group of women who even this summer did a retreat focus week of empowerment for for some of the women on our campus, some of our new students and continuing students. So we really want to talk about some of the things that this group has, a mighty, amazing group of women has really done the past 4 years, their goals, their focus. They're so driven. I'm just so extremely proud of them. And so it really is an instructional and student services endeavor. Both sides of the house, including administrative services, is important to share too. Work to think about the problems of women and how to support women in these spaces and times that we're in. So that's going to be highlighted there with some really good data in terms of achievement. The other piece is next up, and that is for our foster youth on campus, our foster students on campus, and just in a very short period of time, our faculty coordinator has done a phenomenal job in building our program from ground up, and it has grown, and it is a very holistic program that includes elements of mental health support, as well as making sure that students have their basic needs and that they're well directed to make sure we recognize that the number of students that are foster youth who get through, the numbers are so incredibly low, but in a very short period of time, this program has really made a difference on our campus.
Great. And again, people ask, how do we come up with these things? We really do work with the vice presidents. They work with their respective teams. And if we haven't got to your program, shoot your dean an email, shoot your vice president an email and say you'd like to be featured in one of these. There's not a special list or a special process. We just really look for people who would like to feature their program in one of the board meetings. There is one rule, and that is a rule that we are very prideful about, and that is we have an hour to present these 6 areas. And so that doesn't give a lot of time because there's so many great things going on. It really is a snapshot to highlight the great work that you all are doing. And speaking of that great work, this is our great chancellor's last year, and we are thinking of a way to honor her. And I can see that it's already going to be a lively discussion about a mural. I've received a number of inquiries. Now, she does not know this, folks. So if you're hearing this for the first time, please don't share with her. It's supposed to be a secret. But what we like to do is dedicate the A building patio in the legacy, in the honor of our great chancellor, Dr. Constance Carroll, being essential. And what you see here is something that we're planning, we have in the works. She probably wouldn't want me to tell you all that she was in Ebony magazine many years ago. I'm not going to tell you what year because you'll find it, then she'll get mad at me. But what we've commissioned Kim to do is recreate that Ebony magazine in today's standards. And so we are going through the process. College does have a process for murals. We are open to murals. Been meeting the last year on murals, as a matter of fact, after it was brought to my attention. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but we are going through the process to dedicate a mural to the chancellor. We're using outside funding. We are not using the college's budget. We've raised outside funding to be able to do this. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Any questions about the board presentation? Great, let's go to the next slide. Privacy and student concerns. For those of you who attended the academic senate, I apologize, this is repetitive. I can't say enough about DSPS and textbooks and the needs of our students who have accommodations to have access to these things. We are receiving a number of inquiries about discrimination and harassment. Those are trigger words, folks. If you have someone use one of those terms, please reach out to a manager, please reach out to human resources, because we have a timeline with the Office of Civil Rights to conduct an investigation. And even if you may not think that it's harassment or discrimination, we want to do our due diligence by conducting an investigation. Denise, any thoughts on that?
I just, again, I just want to emphasize that when you hear words like that, treat them like a hot potato. Don't let that drop on you. Hand that to someone else and follow the process. And when you hear those things, encourage and direct people to those supports. He's outlined the helpful links that you see in front of you, but it's really important. It's like the moment I hear that, I'm trying to hand this to someone else because it's not going to be on my lap where there's issues of discrimination, harassment, and allegations. And many times they're just allegations, but make sure that, you follow process and you move quickly.
Thank you, Denise. And speaking of process, I've asked Tilly to work with Randy, Dr. Barnes, on a process for proctoring, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in writing. Folks, if you are an instructor, please don't subject our students to further trauma. Let them know that you're going to use proctoring. Help them use the proctoring before they go into a quiz or an exam. Train them how to do it. And just put yourself in our students' shoes. Many of them are living in situations that are less than desirable, maybe multiple families in a house. They may have children. I don't know if you all saw the trending video on Facebook where there were two little girls sitting outside of a Taco Bell using the Wi-Fi. That's our students, folks. So think of them before you subject them to further trauma, because we're concerned about cheating or them cheating. Let's err on the side of our students. Let's make sure that if we are going to be using proctoring, we say it in our syllabus, we discuss it with them, that we're comfortable with the software that we're going to be subjecting them to. And so I don't know, Tilly, if you were trying to chime in there.
Thank you, Ricky. I've also, speaking with Randy on that too, some of the things that it's great that it's in the syllabi. However, the students may not get that till the first day. So we're going to try to work on adding it maybe in the notes of the class section so that students would know that they're proctoring, just like another advanced notice, whatever, more communication is better. So that's another thing we're looking into where else we can place it.
Yeah. And then FERPA and CCAP, we have a number of high school students in our classes. It's a great thing. I took classes as a high school student. Many of you did. But there is a privacy rights and laws as it relates to FERPA. If you have a parent contact you, whether the student is 6 years old or 60 years old, the student has to give us the right to communicate with their parent. When in doubt, get with Denise. When in doubt, get with Megan Soto in admission and records. Go to the admission records. And merely what you do is just, thank the parent for writing. And say, I would love to, provide you with an answer. If you would be so kind to complete this FERPA release form, which is required for any student at our college, you'll find that many of the parents didn't even know it existed. And many of them will comply as soon as you make them aware of it. Denise, any other thoughts on that?
No, that's just important that they have it. You cannot speak to parents. You have to protect the student's privacy rights. Student has to consent. There's a form that you fill out. The student must fill out. Thank you.
And then Dr. Parker is working on partnering with instruction, student services, and marketing to get more people signed up on the Live Safe app. That's where we send out notices about what's going on campus. It's a great way to stay updated on a real-time basis. I'm not sure, Dr. Parker, if you've really had a chance to play with that yet, but I'm sure once he gets to play with it, we're going to be sending out notifications to you via the Live Safe app. Let's go to the next slide. Some important dates here. Are we going to be remote in the spring? We might as well say yes. The real answer is it depends, and we're using data and science, folks. This virus doesn't care about our planning, doesn't care if we've got, if we want to get out of the house, if we want to come on the campus. What we can pretty much expect is lectures to be online, that there'll be a second or a third tier of hybrid efforts with hard to convert, and that we'll continue to have limited access to the campus. Now, I know many of you want to work in your offices, and the answer to can you go to your office is it depends. If it is something that your vice president has signed off on, if it is something that Dr. Parker and his team have authorized, then absolutely we want to allow you into your spaces. What we're seeing is that people are going into their spaces and we don't know about it. That is a security risk. That is a safety risk. That is a risk for our facilities folks who do their very best job to keep these spaces clean and sanitized. So please use the process. We're going to share it a little later in the meeting. Dr. Parker, anything you want to chime in about that in terms of the process?
No, I'll be sending those out. I know Roxanne has been sending out notices of who is expected to be on campus, along with the protocols. I'll be taking that over, sort of as a reminder, as you just mentioned, Dr. Shabazz, on adhering to the protocol.
Yeah, and Susan's going to speak a little bit more in detail about the upcoming campus planning sessions. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. That's on another item.
Real
Yeah.
quick, can I just remind people, mask and social distancing?
Say that one more time, Tilly.
Wear the mask and social distancing.
And folks, if you don't wear your mask or social distance, Tilly's going to come get you. She has reminded me a number of times. That is the nurse in her. Bless her heart. We're so glad to have Tilly as a reminder. Some other important dates. Dr. Parker's going to be working on a facilities roadshow. We're going to have to push out the facilities planning meeting. We talked about the board presentation and some other things we're working on for this academic year. Here are the president's vision. Ultimately, what it is just staying true to our core values, which are helping students, showing them that we love them, supporting one another, supporting this family, and just helping the community as we go on. So let's go through these things rather quickly, because I think we've talked about them already. Expanded mental health and DSPS for students. You're going to be hearing me talk a lot about mental health, our students' mental health, our mental health, and supporting the various learning styles of our students. Bless my 11-year-old's heart, she's having to be taught by me and virtual. So I absolutely understand the need for mental health. I also understand that everyone has a different learning style. This week, it says 9/9, but I believe it should say 9/2. We're having an ASG student forum. I actually think, Caesar, that number 2 might, the date.
It should read 9/2.
Yeah, so it's 9/2 at 11 a.m. Join us for our student forum with the student government. Apologize for the date. Student Affairs did a wonderful job with the Welcome Week. And Caesar and his team are working with various constituency groups to launch and relaunch our Chicanx and Black Excellence resource pages. I think many of these things we've already talked about in terms of open stacks and OER and 100,000 for CARES. Student Services continues to do a great job with remote student services link on the web page. Please connect your students who are in need of help with these resources. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. We had our convocation. Let's go to the next. Oh, the book. We are working on a drive-through for those who didn't receive a book. Thank you to the AFT for sponsoring all of the full-time employees getting this book. We do have them. Get with your dean or manager if you would like a copy of this book. We're looking to schedule a drive-through to get these out. For those of you, Tilly, do you hear me? For those of you who have a health concern and you can't come to campus, we will mail you the book. Tilly, what did I just say?
Those individuals that cannot come to campus, you will mail the book.
But you can't come to campus because of what?
Because
a health concern.
Yes, a health concern.
I just want to say that because last time I said that, someone heard me say I'm going to mail the book home to every person. Folks, I would love to be able to do that. We just don't have the financial resources. We will make an accommodation to someone who literally can't come to campus because they have a health concern. But if you are an able-bodied individual who can come to campus, please, we could use those resources in another way versus mailing them. Next page, the slide. I'm going to turn if I could, this over to Denise, because a lot of this is going on in her area to talk about the alignment of the Dean of Equity and the efforts that are underway with Hispanic Heritage Month. Folks, that's the term they use. I believe we've reframed it to be Chicanx Heritage Month. Denise, you want to share and the next couple slides of what's going on in your area and the Dean of Equity. You're muted.
Not this time. So there's a lot going on, which should be expected at a campus that is committed to support social justice on our campus. And so I'm really proud at some of the great things that have been happening at City. You know, City is an interesting place because in the way that we communicate the things we do, we tell our community, but we tend to not always like shout from the top of the world, like, hey, we're brushing our teeth. We don't do it at City that way. The way that we do it is we share with our community family, a family that's been committed to social justice, for years, well documented in the community. So the Dean of Equity has been now tasked to bring together some key programs under its leadership. And the key aspect of it is to provide that academic support and to really look at how we're calendaring to make sure that we don't have everything on the same day. And also to make sure that, there are no real gaps in our service and programming for our students. So under his leadership, I think they met last week, but really many of the leaders are actually in our, in various aspects on our campuses, our social justice conference, our ongoing diversity committee. Our social justice conference is nationally recognized. I always have to bring up Paul from back in the olden days when it was just a little social justice conference, which is now blown up to be just really a premier nationally recognized conference. And then we have the diversity group, Voices, some great stuff, VAMP that comes out of the English department. You got to go to those events. You got to, and World Cultures, all under that leadership to provide them with the base administrative support to help them to get the work, the much needed work to be done. And then there's a lot of work in our Chicanx, Latinx community supporting. One of the things that we're doing is we're expanding our Hispanic Heritage Month, September to October. You probably got some emails from Marciano Perez, Dean Perez, as well as Dean Valadez, really encouraging people. And I think there's still space remaining to contribute to that wonderful calendar that they're putting together of a series. And I think Tilly's involved in that quite actively right now as well. So we really, during these spaces, encourage your students to be a part of it. Students are looking, where's my home? Where's my identity? Where's my support? And these are spaces that we have intentionally placed in campus to support our students. We're also launching a resource page on our website, actually a resource area on our website dedicated to our Chicanx community. So there's a lot of work being done there. I know that we have some kind of baseline information that we're putting together, but of course we want a very engaged campus community in terms of what that looks like. But we're really trying to find space as soon as we can because our students are here to support our Chicanx students on our campus. We are also, there's some good work that's happening with our Dean of Equity to work with HUBU, which is our Black and Brown males, our men of color, to support their student achievement, to support the work that they're doing there. As you can see, there was a monetary commitment to that and really was part of the discussions and the leadership of our president that we put those resources there, recognizing that the data indicates some of our most underperforming students, as we know, and as the community is showing us, are under-supported and need additional resource. We're also going to launch a panel on career pathways. There's good work that's being done there. And just partnering with on-campus community groups. There are groups, but also outside of the community. So there's work there. Supporting Black excellence is some of the things, is another effort that's happening. Our president has shown some great leadership in reaching out to our new students. I know, he's reaching out to them, he's written them a letter, our Black and Brown students. Hey, I see you. Hey, you're a part of the community. That is unprecedented work that's happening at City College. Expanding our Black History Month. I love expanding it beyond February. We're getting March, y'all, like parts of March. So February and March, Women's History Month. We will just go ahead and expand that too as well. But we're having an expanded Black History Month. We're launching a resource page on campus. You've probably seen it. All these things are in development. We're growing as a community. We're trying to be as many spaces as we can and just doing some more intentional programming. There's some great work that's being done right now and really infusing mental health in our Emoja and Puente spaces on our campus, which is so important for our students right now, and launching some work as it relates to career pathways. So more to come, but just to say that we recognize that we want to support the students from a lens of engagement, also their academic success, because that's what they endeavor when they come here. So really proud of some of the things that we're doing at City.
Thanks, Denise.
And
And
again, yeah, that's the more work that we're doing with that community, with the community. And also we're, and I really want to thank the president for his vision in expanding some of the work that we're doing with our Asian American students who come to our campus. Specifically, we know data as it relates to Pacific Islanders, there's much to be done in terms of supporting them. Actually, there's $16,000 that has been committed, and we're convening a group to determine what we're going to do of Asian American professionals on our campus to engage in those discussions. There's a lot of work being done to just really be intentional in serving our Pacific Islander students as well. So you will learn more, as they grow.
And all of this really points to creating a campus that cares and safe spaces and continuing the work. The Dean of Equity is also going to be putting together a group with the vice presidents to look at how we create a city-specific EEO training so that we tackle conversations of non-conscious bias, cultural competency, and just have a safe campus. Again, we welcomed Dr. Parker. Want to also welcome, well, really not welcome, but congratulate Susanna, who is the acting financial aid officer. You see the positions that we're going to be recruiting for. Even though we are in a hiring freeze, there are positions that are either categorically funded or required to have as it relates to either health or safety or accreditation. So we're working on those things. Let's go to the next slide. Caesar. Congratulations to the faculty who receives tenure. Next slide. And continue to support community agencies. Matter of fact, sent an email this morning to Tilly about a $1,000 donation to MANA. We'll be doing the same thing with the Chicano Federation and many other organizations that we support in the community. We talked about these forums. We're going to have an agenda item for there. Here's the form to request CARES Act funds for technology related to COVID. Work with your dean, work with your vice president. They can help you answer questions about how to access those funds. It was emailed to the entire campus. And the budget implications are that we really are dependent upon a second wave of federal stimulus. If we don't receive that by October, November-ish, we could potentially be facing 40% reductions. Folks, I'm not necessarily worried about 2021. It's 21-22 that I am very fearful and concerned about if our economy doesn't turn around, if our enrollment doesn't turn around. We are going to be facing some reductions at a level that many of us have never seen. We ended the year with about a $2.4 million deficit. I am specifically asking for controls around release time, around overload, around spending that we have never seen before. Because if we don't make these accommodations right now, people, if someone said to me, I looked a little tired today, because I literally spend 12 to 13 hours a day trying to figure out how to avoid laying people off. To give an example, my sister-in-law worked for American Airlines. They are laying off, it was either 6,000 or 8,000 employees. The decisions that we make are so critical to keeping people employed to serving students. You may say, well, why is that? And what you see here is really structural racism. Like the community college system is funded at a far less per student full-time equivalent rate of any other segment of education, not to mention prisons in the state. So we have some very real financial challenges that we're facing. And so when people come to us saying that they need things, we're fortunate we have these CARES funds where we can help. If it were not for those CARES funds, we would be in an even worse situation. Next slide, Caesar. And why is that? This picture depicts that our expenses are rising and our funding from the state is not. And it makes it hard to operate a college in those conditions. You also have increased operational costs just in general, health and benefits, and other things that are making it hard for us financially to operate the college. And you all are doing tremendous work under those conditions. Let's stop the PowerPoint here because the rest of it gets into the rest of the agenda. And I don't want to be repetitive with that. Are there any questions about kind of where we're headed, what we're working on, concerns and opportunities that are going on with the college 2021? I get scared when people don't ask questions. Well, hearing none, let me share the rest of the agenda, and I am going to turn it, the mural process, we did email that out, forgot to mention, and thank you to the person who reminded me that the mural process also includes updating the mural or restoring the mural that is above the health center in the A building. I received a number of emails asking when we were going to restore that. That was not part of the budget. It's going to cost us about $8,000. Thank you to Roxanne, who reached out to Chicano Park and the artist. Someone came forward. We're going through the process with the Academic Senate, and that's outlined with the mural process to get a task force that will report to this group. So this is the first discussion. I'm on number 5 now, first discussion about murals. I understand that there were things that occurred prior to my arrival. I want to give my colleagues at College Council the floor. If there are any things you would like to discuss about the mural process.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I'll add, Dr. Shabazz, is that, so one, yes, I think that it would be we would be remiss not to recognize Dr. Carroll and not recognizing the historical kind of mural that we already have there and making sure to highlight it and make sure that we keep it in good shape. And I'm really, because as a faculty member who has been through kind of the different mural discussions, I'm excited that, we're finally getting kind of a clear process and the and encouragement to be thinking about how we can have murals across campus. And so I'm hoping that this is just the beginning of really recognizing all of the amazing artists we have on campus, off campus, all the amazing artists we have in San Diego, and making sure that our campus represents the rich, beautiful culture of all of our students. And so I look at it really as a beginning, what you've done, and this as the kind of the first kind of flirting into the process as a test run, and that I really look forward to having some amazing art on campus. I think it's too bad that we don't already have it, but I'm glad that we have administrators who are supportive of that. And of course, the process, I'm sure won't be a cakewalk, but at least having the encouragement and the support from administrators and being able to have a campus that really reflects the history of our students and the cultures of our students, I think is an amazing opportunity.
Great, thanks, Paul. And the beauty of art, we don't have to agree on it, right? We all see something different. We all have different and varying taste. It would be no fun if we all agreed on the art. And let me also say that I just hate white walls. I know my walls may look white, they're actually gray, but I just dislike white walls. Like I like to see pictures and artworks and all the things that you said, Paul. So it was somewhat shocking to me that there had been this discussion that predates me. You know, we have a wonderful new artist on campus, and Anna, new faculty member. I've had some discussions about student art on campus. I would love to engage in a discussion. Now, let me also be clear, like we don't have a budget for this. We wouldn't raise this money outside of the college. So that part of it, I need to be very clear, because if people all of a sudden expect that you just heard me talk about the budget challenges. So if somebody wants to come do a mural for free, I want to meet that person. I'm all in for that. We have some spaces in the cafeteria that I would love to put a mural. Matter of fact, you saw Tilly nodding her head. Like I walked the area with Anna. Said I would love for some student art or community art there. And so I'm all for it, realizing that one, we got a process, and two, we don't have any funding to do this. We had to raise this funding out externally to update the current mural that is there. Any other thoughts on the mural process?
Thank Ricky and Tilly here. Thank you for going over that, because I'm going to speak on behalf of some faculty that have been speaking with me and their dean about some other ideas and options. So I'm going to encourage them to go through the process and see where we go. And maybe we can bake some cookies and have a bake sale or something, I don't know, to raise some money.
I'm spending a little time on this because it has come up in emails from individuals who frankly were not aware. And I would say this, you know, the role of college council is when we have these discussions, we depend that you take them back to your constituency groups. So these discussions are not happening in isolation. However, people come to me in isolation and we bring them here to discuss. And so we filled out the academic senate's request and sent emails to the other constituency groups to form the task force. No decision has been made on the actual mural. I hope this doesn't take the entire year, 2 years to do it, because if so, I'm just going to frame the ebony thing that mock-up that Kim did and then move on with my life, because we have a unique opportunity to honor our chancellor in a way that many of us believe that she should be honored. Worst case scenario, if it does turn into something that I'm hoping that it doesn't, we'll do a plaque on the quad so that she can receive her due honor and legacy at City College. Any other thoughts? This will be back on the agenda the next meeting. Please, if you could carry this out to your respective constituency groups, bring back any feedback that they may have about this item. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Murray to talk about the campus strategic plan and educational master plan planning sessions.
Thank you, Ricky. This Friday morning, we are kicking off our college process to update our strategic plan and educational master plan with a virtual forum. We had intended to have this be an in-person event last spring, and we all know what happened. And since we are not coming back to campus anytime soon to meet in person, we are going to start this off online. So if I could share screen briefly, Ricky, you can also, there have been emails out to the college DL this week. We have a webpage where you can find the registration link. It's right here. We are asking people to sign up in advance so that we can manage breakout rooms and do that kind of planning as much as possible ahead of time. If you can't attend on Friday morning, there are also some opportunities to contribute. If you look for an email I sent out to the city distribution list earlier today, we have a web page with some activities and some questions to answer about the direction of the college that we reviewed in MPROC last week, and those are posted with Padlets, little online note boards that you can post your thoughts on, just like we would put sticky notes on chart paper if we were together in person. So it's not too late to sign up. We look forward to seeing you on Friday if you are available, and if not, there will be other follow-up activities, and as this whole proposal works its way through the governance process.
I'm sorry, Susan.
I was just going to say, that event is happening this week. We have another forum scheduled for early November that we will be inviting community partners to. And we had originally thought that we would also start work on updating our facilities master plan, but we're putting that, postponing that until after the first of the year. That will give Dr. Parker a chance to get grounded and our district, to work with our district to get the consultants that will help us with that process, because that has some technical aspects to it as well.
Any questions about these planning forums? If it feels rushed, folks, everything feels rushed. In this case, you know, kudos to Dr. Murray because it isn't rushed. Like, these were planned in the spring. If you are like me, your days and nights and weeks and months are all blending into each other. These are things, unfortunately, that have to continue to press forward because they have to be in place prior to our next accreditation visit. And so if you can make it, great. If you could refer someone, even better. We really do need to have these discussions as a campus. Questions? Hearing none, the rest of the agenda are really updates to events that are going on throughout the year. We've got about 15 minutes. What I wanted to do is open it up to either questions or announcements. If you would just unmute yourself, if you have a question or announcement, the floor is yours to the rest of the committee, College Council, rather. It's the end of the day and people are Zoom fatigued, want to go home and teach their children, get in the same room with their spouse or partner, walk the dog, whatever you do when you're not in one of these Zooms. I can respect that. Going once, going twice. Tilly, to the rescue.
I will do one. I just wanted to make a quick announcement that right around the corner is intersession and spring semester. And so people will be looking out to start creating those new schedules. So that allocation will be coming out shortly. And I know that we'll do the best we can to continue our enrollment.
Love that update, Tilly, because enrollment is so important to our college, to our students, our community. Any other announcements? Hearing none, it's good to see you all virtually. I look forward to seeing you all in person at some point. You all enjoy the rest of your day. Be well. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Take care.